Hi there, this is our review for 8.2 on parabolas in regards to it as a conic section. And as always, I am the amazing Mr. Jansen. So away we go. If we look at this first one, we're just identifying all the different things that we have here, and then we're going to graph this stuff. So before we get too into this, let's decide if this thing is vertical or horizontal. If we look at the equation, I see that it's x equals, and I've got a y squared value, which means this thing is going to be horizontal. So when I'm looking at my formula sheet, I know I'm going to be looking at the horizontal column for each of these things. So for the vertex, I do the opposite of b over 2a. That's how I always find the vertex. So it's a negative 2 over 2 times a negative 1/12. And just be careful dealing with the fractions here. 2 times a negative 1/12 is a negative 1/6. And then dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So you get a positive 12. Since this is horizontal, the opposite of b over 2a gives me the y value for the vertex. And now I plug it back in to get the x value for the vertex. So I've got a negative 1/12 times 12 squared plus 2 times 12 minus 10. So that's going to be negative 1/12 times 144 plus 24 minus 10. So that's going to be a negative 12 plus 24 minus 10, which is a 12 minus 10, which is 2. Okay, so that's my vertex. Now, I just go right down the list. If I'm looking at my focus next, so I'm talking about the focus, on my formula sheet, it tells me that the focus is going to be h plus 1 over 4a comma k. So when I do that, the k value is going to stay the same, so this is going to be a 12. That's the easy part. And now I just have to do h plus 1 over 4a to get the y value. So I'm going to take it over here. H plus 1 over 4a, h is 2, plus 1 over 4 times a, which is a negative 1/12. And now I just have to plug this in. That's 2 plus 1 over 4 times a negative 1/12 is going to give me a negative 1/3. So now I have 2 plus, right here, 1 divided by a negative 1/3 is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So this is going to be 2 plus a negative 3, and 2 plus a negative 3 is a negative 1. All right, so my value here is a negative 1. And keep this in mind that what I did right here was 1 over 4a, because we'll come back to that. The axis of symmetry, since this, again, is horizontal, it's going to be y equals, and it's always y equals the y value from the vertex, which is 12. And now the directrix on my paper, it literally says x equals h minus 1 over 4a. So it's x equals, well, I'm going to take this off to the side. H is 2 minus 1 over 4a. Well, again, remember, I already did 1 over 4a once, and as I simplified 1 over 4a, eventually it just gave me a negative 3. So 1 over 4a is going to give me the negative 3. So instead of plus a negative 3, I'm going to have minus a negative 3, which is like plus a positive, which gives me a 5. Okay, work smarter, not harder. So since you already did the 1 over 4a once, don't do it again. Just reuse it a little bit. And then the last piece of this, the length of the LR, that's the absolute value of 1 over a. So again, I'm going to take it off to the side over here. So that's the absolute value of 1 over a, which is a negative 1/12. Again, dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, which is negative 12 over 1. So that's going to give me the absolute value of negative 12. Not enough space to fit it in there, which just equals a positive 12. So the length of my LR is going to be 12. And then the direction of opening, since my a value is negative, it tells me on my formula sheet that it's going to open to the left. Okay? And now I just have to graph all this stuff. All right? I've found all this stuff. Now I just need to graph it. I'm going to give myself a little more space up here. I'm going to scale this thing by 2s. So I'm going by 2s here. So if I want the ordered pair 2, 12, right here. So 2, 12. Negative 1, 12 is right here. Y equals 12. That's a dotted line, and it goes right here. Remember, y equals is a horizontal line. So I've got my focus, I've got my vertex, I've got my axis of symmetry. My directrix is x equals, so 2, 4, 5 is right here, because I'm going by 2s. Again, it's another dotted line. It's x equals, so it's vertical. And now I have enough information really to graph this thing, but I'm going to use the LR being 12 to help me out. That's, remember, the measurement, how wide this thing is. So if it's 12, I need to go 6 in each direction from the focus. So like right here, if I count down 6, 2, 4, 6 would be right about there. If I count up 6, that's 2, 4, 6 would be right about here. That gives me an overall length right here of 12 units, and that's what my LR is. Okay, it's the line that goes right here that gives me the width of my parabola. All right, so keep that in mind. That's the width of the parabola, so I'm going to use that to help me graph. And that's it. All right. If I wanted to use another point to help me out, I've got the x-intercept of -10, which would be down here somewhere, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So if I wanted to make this a little bit more accurate, I could. Okay? And that's it. That's all there is to it. And again, the focus is inside the vertex. The directrix is on the opposite side of that. If I look at the next one, this next one is really even easier because it's in vertex form, y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So because it's y equals, I know that it's going to be vertical, so I'm going to make a note to self over here. It's going to be a vertical one. And when I look at this, it's in vertex form, which basically tells me my vertex. Right here, there's h, but again, it's minus h, so my h value is going to be a -2. And then my k value is right here. That's in the place of k. That's a -1. So it basically lists my vertex for me. And that's the most difficult part. Now I just have to go right down through my list again. Here, it's going to be h, comma, k plus 1 over 4a. So the h stays the same this time. Remember, up here, because it was horizontal, the k stayed the same. Down here, it's vertical. So now the h stays the same. So -2 comma, I got to take this off to the side. K is a -1 plus 1 over 4a. Well, right here is a. It's in the same position. So that's 1/2. So that's a -1 plus 1 over 2, which is just 1/2. And then -1 plus 1/2 is a -1/2. And keep that 1 over 4a in mind for later. Now I do my axis of symmetry. For that, it just says on my formula sheet x equals h, which is the x value for my vertex. That's a -2. And then the directrix, and the directrix literally says y equals k minus 1 over 4a. So I take it off to the side. K is -1 minus 1 over 4a. That's what I did right here. And when I did 1 over 4a, it gave me 1/2. So I'm subtracting 1/2 this time, which is going to give me a -1.5. And again, I just leave it as a mixed number, so that'll help me when I'm graphing. And then it tells me that the length of the LR, that is the absolute value of 1 over a. So that's the absolute value of 1 over 1/2. Remember, dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So you get the absolute value of 2, which is 2. And then the direction of opening, this is vertical. The a value is positive, so it's going to open up. So now I just need to graph it. -2, -1. So -2, -1 is right here. -2, -1/2 is right here. That's my focus. And again, they're pretty close together, but that's okay. The axis of symmetry at x equals -2. That's this guy right here. It's a dotted line. The directrix is y equals -1.5, which is down here. Again, it's a horizontal line for that one. And now I know what this thing's going to look like. I know it's going to open up, but I'm going to use the LR. Since the LR is 2, I'm going to measure 1 in each direction from my focus. So I'm going to go over 1 right here, and I'm going to go over 1 right here. So that gives me an overall length of 2. And then I can graph my parabola. And I can also use, well, this one, the y-intercept would be a pain to find, but you could use another point if we wanted. Okay, and that's it. That's all there is to it. If I look at the next one, again, it's x equals. So I know that this one's going to be horizontal, and that's always my first note to self. It's going to be horizontal. So now I find the vertex, so I do the opposite of b over 2a. So that's a negative 4 over 2 times a negative 1/8. And 2 times a negative 1/8 is going to be a negative 1/4. Dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So that's a positive 16. And since this was horizontal, that gives me the k value. So that's my k. To find the x value for my vertex, to find h, I have to plug this back in. So negative 1/8 times 16 squared plus 4 times 16 minus the 1. So now I'm going to do the 16 squared, which is 256, I believe. Plus 4 times 16, which is 64. And now the 256 times the negative 1/8 is a negative 32. So that's going to be a positive 32 minus 1, which is 31. Okay, and that's it. All right. Obviously, I'm going to have to scale this thing a little bit differently when I go to graph it. Since this is horizontal, when I look at the horizontal column, for my focus, it tells me that I'm going to do h plus 1 over 4a comma k. So now I know the k value is going to stay the same. It's going to be 16. And now I just have to do h plus 1 over 4a. So I'm going to take it down here. H is the 31 plus 1 over 4 times a, which is the negative 1/8. So that's 31 plus 1 over a negative 1/2. Dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So that's 31. Let me scoot it over a little bit. So that's 31 plus a negative 2, which is 29. Okay, and that's it. All right, moving right along. The axis of symmetry, because this is horizontal, the axis of symmetry is y equals the y value from the vertex is 16. And then I do the directrix, and it literally says to do x equals h minus 1 over 4a. And what's nice about this, h is 31 minus, well, 1 over 4a, I already did that once. I did it here. This is me simplifying the 1 over 4a. It ended up being a negative 2. So I'm subtracting a negative 2 this time. Instead of adding it, it's plus a positive. That's 33. Okay? So x equals 33. And then the length of the LR, that's the absolute value. Sorry, the absolute value of 1 over a. So I'm going to plug it in over here. So that's 1 over a negative 1/8. Dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. That's an absolute value of negative 8, which is 8. And then the direction of opening, I know it's going to be left to right. Since the a value is negative, it's left again. Okay, it's left this time. And I just have to plot all this stuff. Since I've got like a 31 and a 16 here, let's go by 5s instead. So I'm going to go by 5s. Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be close enough. It's 5, 10, 15, 20. 31 is going to be about here. And then 16, 10, 15, 16. So my vertex is going to be right around here somewhere. The focus is 29, 16. So 29, 16 is going to be right about here. The axis of symmetry is y equals 16, which is a horizontal line. Again, it's a dotted line. The directrix is x equals 33, which is right over here somewhere. At x equals 33. And now I can just use my length of the LR to graph this. I got to go 4 in each direction. So that's about here. And then 4 in the other direction is about here, which gives me the width of this thing. I could also use the x-intercept here at negative 1 to help me. It's going to be about right over here somewhere. But now I have the width of this thing, and I'm just going to graph it. Again, we've got the vertex. The focus is inside the parabola.